Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A 36 match day. Only 3 games left and everything to be decided except, Danny, the Champions League, because we know the 4 teams that are going to play in the Champions League next season.
Hi, Edu. Yes, Inter, Milan, Napoli, and Juventus, because Roma failed to beat Bologna, so we're not going to have a fight for that, but there is a Scudetto fight, of course. Milan still 2 points ahead of Inter. They can also draw a game. If they finish level on points, the title goes to the Rossoneri. There is the fight for the relegation with the new rejuvenated Salernitana, the miracle of the South, unbeaten in 4, and there is a massive game on Thursday, of course, against Venezia, and there is the fight for the Conference League, Europa League spot as well.
If Salernitana gets safe, Danny, we have to go to Salerno and drink.
I'll go with you because it's a beautiful city. And a beautiful city, and I'll have to say sorry to all the Salernitana fans because I often said they're gonna go down, but I'm not so sure anymore, you know.
I've been there in Salerno, actually. It's a nice city. Indeed, let's analyze all the games, starting with Salernitana Venezia that we have on Thursday with Danny. Guys, leave your comments and remember to press the like and subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Hello, Blue Shark, who is texting us. Hello, everyone. So let's start, Danny. On Thursday, there is a game that was postponed, this Salernitana Venezia. What a story about Salernitana. If they tell us 1 month ago, we wouldn't believe it. 10 points out of the last 12 for many minutes against Atalanta. They were already out of the bottom 3. Then they were equalizer. But, Danny, if I check the schedule, they have an easy schedule, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they play Venezia. This is a 6-pointer. Although Salernitana can also afford a draw here. Then they play Cagliari at home at the Areggia the weekend. We'll talk about this in a minute. And then they got Empoli and Udinese, or Udinese and Empoli, which are both saved. So it is in reach for Davide Nicola's man. That would be an amazing story. But we have to say, Salernitana, since a couple of months, also thanks to the new manager, they are playing much better. They are proposing more going forward. They are more compact, more resilient. They have found that strength and that cohesion, also thanks to the 13 January signings as well. But, you know, check players like Ederson. He's been a surprise as well, scoring as well at Bergamo. Yes, in Bergamo against Atalanta, they suffered a lot. So maybe in the end, their draw was good. But 4 unbeaten games for Salernitana, this could be a little bit of a bonus, because even if they draw, then with a win against Cagliari, they will be out of the bottom 3. A win and they will be out of the bottom 3, so they can even play for the draw against Cagliari on a Sunday. Now, when it comes to Venezia, 10th defeat in a row. They lost in Turin 2-1. Wasn't a bad game from them, actually. Juventus only 3 shots on target, but that says a lot about Juventus quality in this time. Venezia, you know, in the end, actually, they even find the equalizer. Very unlucky. Look, I think the last 2 away games at Firenze, at Torino, they lost by 1 goal. They were really unlucky, but, you know, sometimes when it's not your year, things don't go very well. But also, we have to say, the recruitment in January for Venezia didn't work. Nani, Samé, Cuisance, they didn't hit the ground running. They haven't provided pretty much anything. And funny enough, they sold Marzocchi to Salernitana. Now Salernitana is a better team with Marzocchi, who used to play for Venezia. Salernitana, let's go at the numbers. Second worst attack at home, only 14 goals scored. Venezia, they are the worst away attack, only 11 goals scored. By the way, these are the 2 worst defenses in Serie A. In the last 10 games, Salernitana are +9 on Venezia, simply because they have scored more, not because they have kept the door shut many times. As I said, the 2 worst defense of Serie A, I can't expect too much. Normally, people say, okay, bad defense, lot of goals. I'm going to go the other way. I think it's going to be few goals. I'm going to go for an under 2.5 goals, which pays 198.
Venezia lost the last 9 games. This is a hugely bad strike.
9 or 10, I think. Yeah, it's a record. It's a negative record for them. And they sacked the manager. They got Soncini instead of Paolo Zanetti. I can't see Paolo Zanetti having done too much wrong, but maybe they want to rebuild for next season. Maybe in Serie B. Depends.
Player Cam is telling us both teams to score because Venezia only 2 clean sheets on the road. Salernitana only 1 clean sheet at home. So his bet is both teams to score. 1.8, and most of the people, they trust, of course, Salernitana. What a miracle. Let's see what happens on Thursday. Then on Friday, we have Inter and Juve because they are playing the Coppa final the following week. So both games are going to get played on Friday. Dani, Inter Empoli, one of the easiest games, I guess, until the end of the season for Inter. They should beat Empoli because they are on holidays. They've been awful in 2022. Whereas for Inter, very important victory against Udinese, bouncing back after the defeat against Bologna. But they suffer,
Yeah, they do because they played a very informed Udinese. If you look at the table since April, Inter have got 15 points, Udinese have got 13 points. So it was never going to be easy for Inter, who managed to get the job done in the first half. That's what they normally do. They start strongly, they score couple of goals in the first half, and then they settle the game. Also because sometimes the physical condition kind of deserts them towards the later stages of the game, so they tend to concede quite late, as they did in Udine. The last 20 minutes were a little bit shaky. Inter lost Barella because of suspected knee injury. They brought in Vidal and Correa. You never know, with Vidal and Correa, it's very difficult to say what kind of mindset they got, but in the end, they didn't cause too many damages. Look, the Inter won 7 of the last 8, including the Coppa Italia. No clean sheet in the last 3 home games in Serie A. They need to win. They need to win and hope Milan drop points. But if Milan draws, they go level on point, and the title will still be for Milan. Let's see what kind of choices Inzaghi does for this game, because there is the Coppa Italia final on Wednesday. Let's see if he risks Bastoni, who's been out with an injury. Let's see if he risks Barella. Still, there is a little bit of turnover for a very physically strong Inter that should be beating Empoli, nonetheless, because obviously they got much more motivation. But when I talk about physically strong, Inter side scored 18 goals via headers this season, and is the record in Serie A against an Empoli that, surprise, they lost again. And they only won 1 game in 18, and they now mathematically saved the newly promoted team, thanks to the fact that Salernitana didn't beat Atalanta on Monday, and they celebrated. They say it's like a fairy tale, it's come una favola, using the A as staying in Serie A. More than a fairy tale, I think it's been a nightmare. In 2022 against Torino, they started okay, then Verra and Stojanovic got sent off. 2 penalties for Torino converted by Belotti. In the end, they ended up losing, but because they beat Napoli the week before 3-2, amazingly, with 2 goals from Pinamonti, which, by the way, is on loan from Inter. So, see, facing Inter, you never know about these things. Worse away defense for Empoli, 43 goals conceded. Look, the value, obviously, you need to be creative to find any value in that. Inter to win the first half, as they normally do, combine it with an over 2.5 goals, high scoring game, that gives you a total of 235 if you check on Oddspedia for the best odds.
Empoli always leaking in the whole season. Player Cam is going for Inter, Asian handicap -2. Odds are around 2. Let's see if, as Dani also is predicting, they take the lead and perhaps they save energy for that final of Coppa Italia, going to be played against Juventus. Of course, the next game is Genoa-Juve, also on Friday. The season will be over for Juve. Dani, it's been a very bad season, but I guess if they win Coppa Italia and Inter don't win the Scudetto, it's not that bad. At the end of the day, it's not that bad, and at least also they got mathematically the ticket to play the Champions League the next season, and for many weeks also that was on stake because the season has been very poor for Juve. And this game is tougher for them if you want to place your bet and back Juve, because Genoa, they are playing for their lives. They are going down.
Yeah, of course, because they lost against Sampdoria in the derby. They missed a penalty in the last minute with Criscito. It was a very, very poor derby against Sampdoria. Very few chances. Like both teams, they were set almost not to score and just avoid conceding. But yeah, not a great spectacle there. But at the moment, Genoa are going down, which will be a big disappointment for a talented team. Yes, with Blessing, they've been improving. They're more cohesive, they're more resilient, but again, they do struggle to score. And Juventus, they were poor against Venezia, 2 goals from Bonucci, 3 shots on target. And I would imagine Allegri resting players ahead of the final in Rome on Wednesday, and probably resting Vlahovic as well. Wasn't be scoring as much. Scored 7 goals for Juventus, but not as many as he used to do for Fiorentina. That tells you again, sometimes the style of play is more important than the players or the club you play for. But now Allegri is on a mission to get Vlahovic back in form for the great final on Wednesday. Let's see, because the Allegri has been doing a bit of turnover. He launched the young Miretti midfielder. A lot of people say a lot of good things about these players. But yes, the problem is Juventus, they don't score much. I think they got the 9th attack of Serie A. And yes, they kept 13 clean sheets. That what kept them going. They're in a decent run of form, but this could be a banana skin for them, because Genoa are playing for their life, as they said. 10 points in the last 10 games, so they've been improving. They haven't won many games at home, also because they don't score. Only 4 goals scored in the last 10 games. I can't expect a very high scoring game here, but I think the motivations for Genoa are much stronger. They do need a win. Could they get it? I'm not sure, but a double chance. I think it's could be popular, with people putting a bet in this one. 1x, 205.
Or an under, no?
Or an under
for under 2.5 goals.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Juve, they have nothing to play for, and Genoa, they are unable to score a goal in this Serie A. Pity that a historical team like Genoa, I think, is the first team, no, Danny, in Italy, actually.
Yeah, Genoa Cricket and Football Club. Yeah, was founded by the British. Yeah, first team in Italy, oldest team in Italy, 1893. Phenomenal.
Going to Serie B, still they have some chances. Then on Saturday, this is much more relaxed game, so perhaps we see a lot of goals. Torino, Napoli, with Torino ending the season pretty well. No defeats in the last 6, scoring a lot. Finally, also Belotti, even a hat-trick. He's been missing many games in this season, whereas for Napoli, the atmosphere, Danny, was a bit strange at the Maradona in that 6-1 victory against Sassuolo, because I guess the supporters cannot forgive that the team is not fighting until the end for this Scudetto.
Yeah, this is the year of the regrets for Napoli, because they've been playing so well in the first part of the season. They still managed to get close to the top of the league when they were missing a lot of players due to the African Cup of Nations, etc. And then they lost games and drew games at home, and that's why they were heavily criticized, despite winning 6-1 against Sassuolo and scoring 4 in the first 4 games. Yes, it was, I think, it is a missed chance. If you look at Milan and Inter squad, it is a missed chance for Napoli not be there until the very end. And now they are playing for nothing, hoping to strengthen the team once more in the summer and go again the next season. But it will be more difficult. It will be more competitive, I think, next season than what has been this season. And now what Spalletti is doing is playing ultra offensive, just going for it with Osimhen and with Mertens, also with Lozano and Insigne. So they are scoring more goals. Yes, I mean, they are not being very, very cautious, also because initially Napoli build their success around a very strong defense, but they conceded 14 in the last 10 and scored 21, best attack. So basically they are outscoring opponents defense rather than keeping clean sheets. Mertens 3 goals in the last 2 games. Very important also the return of Di Lorenzo at the back, and they play at Torino side, who normally are not very good away, but they've scored 7 in the last 2 away games. They were under the cosh at Empoli until they got the 2 penalties and the 2 send-off for Empoli. 100 goal for Belotti for Torino, second best in the history of Serie A for the Granata, but also very, very important the return of Praet in midfield, a midfielder that can get into the box. They missed it for a long time this season. Look, it is difficult to pick a winner on this one. I see a lot of people suggesting both to score. Yes, I think both to score. It is one you should go for, which pays 173. But if you want to beef it up a little bit more, again, one of the classic, both to score and over 2.5 goals. So 2-1 each side, 3-0, more of a 2-1, we'll say. Total 326.
Goals and goals, we expect that. So Belotti is going to retire in Torino. Santa is telling us, well, Belotti is 28. Is still
and his contract is up. Is finishes in June. We'll see. He might stay, might not. But I don't know.
One of the good strikers in Italian football, although there is a lack of that quality that the Italian national team had before. I'm talking about Italian players up front. Sassuolo, Udinese, most of the players of the Sassuolo are playing for the Italian national team. Danny, this game is absolutely pointless for the standings, nothing to play for. But at the end of this season, Udinese are playing better than Sassuolo, and I guess we should expect goals, no?
Yeah, we should, because Udinese, since a couple of months, they play more freely, they commit more players forward. De Lofeo has been in good form, Molina has been in good form, Success is contributing, Pereira, since he returned from his injury, has been good. Yeah, it's been a joy to watch Udinese, as I said, 13 points in April, second only to Inter. They gave Inter a couple of headaches. They didn't start the game very, very well. So I think, this could be a goal game, also because in the last 10 games, this is the second and the third best attack of Serie A. Sassuolo, the second. The issue with Sassuolo is that despite a lot of people saying they're having a good season, they got less points compared to last season. Actually, they got 10 points less compared to last season. So it's not been that great. But, based on the fact that they changed the manager with Dionisi, first experience in Serie A, they could be excused. But what happened with Sassuolo is that all the jewels of Sassuolo, Raspadori, Scamacca, Traoré, Frattesi, Kyriakopoulos, maybe Berardi, they know that they're going to move in the summer. So there is a massive price tag on them. So potentially Sassuolo could be the richest club in the summer, around 150 to 200 million euros in transfer they could get in. So these players are going to go. They've done a good season. So maybe the motivation is not quite right there. I remember the director general of Sassuolo comparing Scamacca to Haaland, the Italian Haaland, but since then he hasn't scored. So maybe it's a time to wake up, to make sure that the price tag goes up a little bit more. Only 3 clean sheets for Sassuolo so far this season. They were abysmal against Napoli. After 20 minutes, they were out of the game, whereas Udinese is always scoring lately. Both to score pays ridiculously low. Both to score in the second half, 260.
13 goals in Serie A, Gianluca Scamacca, 23 years old, so still
young.
He's very young.
But he need to keep scoring, otherwise he won't get a pricey move this summer, I can tell you.
Scoring like Immobile, it doesn't matter how old he gets, that he keeps scoring. With Lazio Sampdoria is our next game. Lazio fighting to get the 5th spot together with their neighbors Roma, but the schedule then is kind of tough for Lazio. They have Juve, they have Hellas Verona, so I guess they count on these 3 points against Sampdoria, virtually safe after the victory in the derby, but I'm not sure that if 33 points are going to be enough, because they are ending the season with Fiorentina or Inter, actually.
They need 1 or 2 points more. I think they need at least a point from the game against Fiorentina at home, but everything depends on what Salernitana does against Venezia on Thursday. If they win that, that's a problem for many teams, including perhaps Spezia. Lazio, very lucky against Spezia. They won 4-3. The goal was on offside for Acerbi, and so many mistakes, individual mistakes from the defenders, from Marusic, from Strakosha. They were behind 3 times and they managed to win 4-3, and that summarizes what Lazio has been this season: up and down, not really settled, glimpses of good play and very strange individual mistakes. Maybe they needed a lot of time to bed in the ideas of Sarri. I'm sure they need an overhaul in the summer, getting new players that can fit the system a little bit better. But the good news for Lazio is that Immobile is scoring. He'll win the Golden Boot once again. Milinkovic-Savic is scoring. Is in double figure for assists and goals. So again, as I said many times, when you put on the pitch Immobile, Milinkovic-Savic, Zaccagni, Luis Alberto, one between Pedro, who's injured, and Anderson, you are often guaranteed goals. It's very difficult. The Lazio doesn't score. They are the second best home attack so far this season, 37 goals. The opposite of Sampdoria, a very boring derby game, as we said, very few chances. Actually, in the end, they could have drew if Criscito had converted the penalty. It tells you also of a team that is emotionally a little bit fragile. I think they had a better game than Genoa, but yet they let it slip a little bit. And this has been the story of Sampdoria so far this season. Again, a very leaky defense. They either win or draw. They either win or lose. Still no draws in 2022. And again, the problem is that they don't score enough. Only Caputo is in double figures, 11 goals scored. They scored 5 of the last 6 goals in February. Quagliarella now doesn't start anymore. Giampaolo goes with 5 midfielders, very compact. Candreva tucked in as well, not really attacking. Since Gabbiadini got injured, they don't score many goals. I can see Lazio winning, maybe suffering, maybe a high-scoring game. Someone suggests Lazio win 2-0. I'm not sure, but Lazio to score in both halves, I mean, that's a good value in this, 1-2-20.
Or both teams to score, player cam is telling us.
Yes, so both teams to score, yes.
Sampdoria don't score that much, as Danny is saying. And you mentioned before Sampdoria with 33 points, same as Spezia, 33 points. And weeks ago, we thought that they were safe after beating Venezia, but since then they are on holidays and still perhaps they need to get another point or 2 points. And perhaps, why not, Danny, against this Atalanta that they are completely gone. They are unable to win a single football game. They drew with Salernitana 4-4 against Torino. And the thing is that they still have options to qualify for Europe.
Yeah, they could go to the Conference League or the Europa League, which we know they will take seriously. Cup competitions in Bergamo are really, really highly regarded for a team that is trying to establish his European pedigree, or at least consolidated. But they look very fractured. They look very disjointed. Gasperini played with 3 up front, Boga, Muriel and Zapata against Salernitana. But there was so many gaps in midfield. They needed somebody to carry the ball and link at the play. They kind of achieved in the second half when they put Malinowski and Pasalic on. Minus 16 points for Atalanta compared to last year, or minus 15. I mean, it's been a very disappointing season, especially at home for Atalanta. They are better away, and you look, for example, at the number of goals they conceded on the road, 16 against 28 at home. So normally away, when they should be not favorite, they actually do best if they can perhaps play on the counter-attack. And now Spezia, entertaining game against Lazio. I don't think they deserve to lose, but they confirm what I always thought about them. They are a team that often can find a goal. They can often score, plays on the front foot, especially with Verre, with Agudelo, with Manai, with Ghiasi. These are all attacking players. So the goal is often guaranteed when they play at home. If you look at the stats, often score at home, but they're very naive at the back. They're young, they're inexperienced, they lose silly balls. Look at the fourth goal of Lazio. Kovalenko loses the balls in front of his areas and allows Lazio to score. They got 18 points at home allo Stadio Picco so far this season, so it's 1 per game, scored 20, conceded 24. So the numbers at home for Spezia are not bad if they get saved, as I think they will. Is a good story for a team that you said is the youngest team in Serie A. They need, let's say, 2 points to be completely sure. I like the both to score here, 180. So I think that could be good enough for you. If you want to beef it up a little bit more, you got to back the best team to win, in which case is Atalanta, because, as I said, they are still fighting for Europe. So that will be both to score 180 and Atalanta win 153, which pays 275, over 1.5 goals in the second half. Yeah, potentially could be. But my favorite is both to score 180 and Atalanta win 153.
Well, Spezia to win, as Andras is telling us, odds for 7, I think is worth a try. It's worth a shot, because Atalanta, they are very bad, and usually Spezia, it's true that, as you are saying, no, at the end they let the points go away in their stadium, but they always put big teams in trouble. So the odds
they scored 2 against Juve, they scored against Inter, they scored against Milan at home. So yeah, home they're good value, Spezia, absolutely.
On Sunday also we have Venezia Bologna. Of course, we already spoke about Venezia. By the way, if there is a chance that Venezia beat Salernitana, they have this game that is winnable against Bologna, so the things can turn around for Venezia. Is very unlikely, but Dani, I guess, is good enough actually. These odds for Bologna 2.4 or Asian handicap 0 for Bologna, because they are ending the season very good, and against big teams, Roma, Milan, Inter, they are not losing lately.
No, not at all. And we spoke about Venezia before. Yes, Bologna ending the season well and looking for the first away win in 2022, 4 draws and 4 defeats. Can they do it at Venezia? All depends what Venezia does against Salernitana. So be really, really careful before putting a bet. Look what happened on a Thursday. Look who gets a card, who might be suspended, etc. We talked about Venezia before. Let's say something about Bologna. Another good performances at Roma, the Stadio Olimpico. Yes, Roma made a lot of changes in preparation for the Conference League semi-final against Leicester, but Bologna had the chances. They held the ground and they kept the 12th clean sheet of the season, the 5th away clean sheet. The problem with Bologna is that away they're not scoring a lot of goals. Everything goes through Arnautovic. If he's inspired, as he is, the team clicks, he brings other people into play, hold the balls well, but he tends to do everything on his own, to be fair. It's a maverick, Arnautovic. And if you look at the partnership in attack with Barrow, I don't think this is a match made in heaven. I don't think really they are very compatible, but they're working hard. The entire team is working hard to help Arnautovic. So it is a kind of working, as you mentioned. They beat Inter, they drew against Milan, Juventus, and Roma away. So, if Venezia have got nothing to play for, they could nick 3 points from La Laguna, but I'm gonna be cautious because it's still Wednesday. So Asian handicap 0 in the first half for Bologna, 225. So basically, if Bologna wins the first half, you win 225. If they draw, you get your money back.
Not bad odds. If we back Mihailovic men, next game, massive one, Salernitana Cagliari, another 6-pointer. And of course, we have to wait to see what is going to happen between Salernitana and Venezia, Dani. But the situation is that Cagliari, they are terrible. 7 defeats in the last 8 games. A couple of months ago, we thought that they were turning the corner, but they are not. And they are still having a lot of trouble. Their last 2 games are against Inter and, luckily for them, against Venezia. So perhaps a draw could be enough for Cagliari in this game.
It depends because if they are behind, if they are behind Salernitana can play for a draw here. Also because in the reverse fixtures in November, they drew 1-1. And in Italy, if you finish level on points, the head-to-head counts. So if Salernitana draws 0-0 against Cagliari, they are ahead on the head-to-head away goals. If they draw 2-2, okay, Cagliari is ahead, etc. But Salernitana could play for the draw here. The problem with Cagliari is that they become very, very vulnerable. They concede a lot of chances. I watched them against Verona. Every time Verona was crossing the halfway line, they got into the box, especially in the first half. They're becoming really, really easy to break down. And yes, the home form has kind of deserted them. And as soon as they play against teams that attack them, yes, they do suffer. They sacked the manager, by the way, Cagliari. Mazzarri is no longer the manager, so now they got the assistant manager in for the last 3 games. Disappointing from Mazzarri, although he managed to win 3 crucial away games this year as against Sampdoria, against Torino, and against Atalanta that almost kept the team up, but then, a very bad run of results. I'm always doubtful when they sack the manager so close to the end of the season, what kind of message they really want to send to the player. Maybe the return of Rog, the Croatian midfielder, they haven't had it for the entire season, the holding midfielder, could be key to stifle them a little bit more, to make them a little bit more solid. Because yes, at the moment, yes, they play with 5 at the back, but they concede a lot of chances. Lost 8 of the last 9, as you rightly said. It's all about João Pedro. 13 goals for João Pedro, and the second biggest scorer for Cagliari is Pavoletti with 5. So, if João Pedro doesn't score, very little chances to get points. By the way, Cagliari have got 5 players, 1 card away for missing the game against Inter. One of them is João Pedro. So this could be 10th game as well for Cagliari. Difficult to say before we saw the game of Salernitana. Look, I'm going to go for a both to score 180 and double chance 1-2 because maybe the draw doesn't quite work for anyone, but this is really, really speculative. Total 243.
Blue Shark is going for a draw. Actually, always pays good.
Or draw in the first half, maybe.
Or draw in the first half, yeah. When both teams are very cautious, no? Usually we don't see many goals when 2 teams are fighting for surviving in the competition. Is difficult to see goals. Then, Danny, the game of the games. Verona, Milan, you will tell me, because I know there is a lot of history between these 2 teams, with Milan playing for the Scudetto. Verona fans are also gemellati, no? They are friends with Inter supporters. Yeah. So I guess every single Interista has put their eye on this game, with Milan losing again at the Bentegodi de Scudetto.
Why do we say losing again? Because the history in Italian football is La Fatal Verona, the fatal Verona. If you don't know about it, I'll tell you shortly. 1973, Milan goes to Verona to win in the last game of the season ahead and to win the title. They lose there. Juventus leapfrog them in the last game of the season and wins the title in 1973. 1990, Milan with Arrigo Sacchi, Van Basten, Gullit, Rijkaard goes to Verona in the penultimate game of the season, loses there. Napoli with Maradona wins the title. Is it going to be a third time Fatal Verona? That's what the Inter fan hopes. Of course, they need to beat Empoli to be top. Let's not forget, if Milan gets a draw and Inter wins, Milan are still top of the league and virtually champions of Italy because of the head-to-head. But now, this is an important game. But Milan should be confident for this one because they are the top away side on Serie A. 40 points in 17 games, same as last season. Last season were the top away side in Serie A, so they normally get the job done when they are on the road. They did a very good game at Lazio a couple of weeks ago. Worthy winner, even if they scored in the last minute. A bit lucky, yes, of course, against Fiorentina, because it was thanks to an error from the keeper that they scored in the 83rd minute, but kept the 14 clean sheet of the season thanks to an amazing Mike Magnan. What a save he made from Cabral. But it's the entire defense of Milan is working. Tomori and Kalulu, best center-back pair of the Serie A for sure. When they are together, Milan is very hard to beat. In the last 7 games I looked, the expected goals for the opposition has never been more than 0.7, and that was Fiorentina, who had 2 good chances. Plus Milan is resilient. Team spirit is very high. They tend to score late. They score 17 goals in the last 15 minutes of games so far in Serie A. They go to Verona, who won back-to-back away games. And the good things for Verona supporters is they're playing really well, even if they're playing for nothing. Maybe there's a slight chance to go to the Conference League, but they are in 9th place. Probably they're going to finish in 9th place there. 11 Serie A goals for Barak, Caprari scoring again, Simeone having a very good season, and yet they are 1 point behind last season. So imagine the potential of this team. They could be even better, I think, although the squad has been weakened a little bit in the summer. Let's see how they approach it, because when they played Inter a few weeks ago, they went gung-ho, they went man-for-man high press, and Inter was able to move the ball quickly and finding the space. Let's see if they're a little bit more cautious and wait for Milan and maybe try to punish them on the counter, because of course Milan needs to win this one. I can see goals. I know Milan has got a very good defense, but I think this could be a high scoring game. Both to score, not bad. Over 1.5 goals in the second half. So 2 goals or more in the second half for you to win. 191.
Danger. Milan last game shutting down their goal. Blue Shark and Andras both are trusting Milan. Santa, who is a Milan fan, he says that the game scared the hell out of him. Of course, I'm sure also our friend David Vasiliev, Milan supporter, is also very scared about this game. This is a massive one, probably the key game to get the title. Danny, bonus track. Well, the last games for Milan are Atalanta and Sassuolo. It's not easy as well.
I haven't seen Atalanta recently and Sassuolo last game playing for nothing. I don't know. Depends, because if Milan can play for a draw against Sassuolo, they have the title in the bag.
And the bonus track I was talking about on Monday, good game. This one, Fiorentina, Roma, also important one to know which teams are going to Europe, Conference, Europa League. Roma, we know that they are in the semifinals of the Conference and they are putting a lot of focus in that game against Leicester City. That's why Mourinho rotated the team against Bologna. Venezia and Torino are the next rivals, so it's kind of easy schedule for Roma to clinch the 5th spot, Danny, but 4 winless games for Roma in all competitions. Also Fiorentina, they look bad lately, 3 consecutive defeats in Serie A.
Sorry if I moved. I had to charge the laptop, otherwise you'll be without the tip. Yes, let's see what happens with Roma against Leicester. Biggest game of the season for them, maybe biggest game in the last 3-4 years. It's very difficult to judge this game before having seen that semi-final. Also because Roma, yes, they're out of the Champions League, so they're fighting either for a Conference or Europa League place. And if Mourinho makes a lot of changes, maybe after a win or after a disappointing night, the game could go easily Fiorentina's way. Fiorentina are in a bad spell, to be fair. They lost the last 5, including the Coppa Italia. In this new calendar year, they've lost to Juventus twice, to Lazio and to Milan without scoring, which could be a little bit concerning. They are scoring less than before with Vlahovic, not just because they're missing Vlahovic, but I think because some of the key players, especially Torreira, Bonaventura, Nico Gonzalez, they look a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued. But if it wasn't for Terracciano mistake, they would have got a draw at San Siro. They're still fighting for a place in the Europa League, which will be important for a young team with a new manager that is doing so well so far this season. They are the 3rd best home attack and the 3rd best home team. So I would look for them to be a favorite on this one. But as I said, Roma, that I think the season of Roma has not been so great, to be fair. Only 1 more point compared to last year, and they still haven't won any big game. Let's see what they do with Leicester. However, Roma, after playing in the Europa League, they never lost in the last 7 games, 5 wins and 2 draws. So if Mourinho doesn't do too many changes, they could get away maybe with a decent result from Firenze. Again, I would rather pass this one, but I'm going to be cautious. So Asian handicap 0, Fiorentina 188.
Well, it's important for Roma playing in the Europa League, in my opinion, next season. After missing this one and playing in the conference, they have to be back in Europe. They are in the conference, but at least in the Europa League. The last 3 games between these two teams, they head-to-head. Roma won them all, and all games were also both teams to score. But Andras is trusting Fiorentina because, of course, Roma, they will be tired physically and emotionally for sure, because the atmosphere at the Olímpico will be great. Danny, let's finish the video then. Let's see your ACCA.
5 games, as always. Genoa Juventus, under 3.5 goals. Torino, Napoli, both team to score. Sassuolo, Udinese, over 2.5 goals. Same for Spezia, Atalanta, and Verona, Milan, as I said before. Both to score 10-51.
Okay, Danny, thank you. See you next week. Thanks everyone also for watching. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.